After grinding through tough conditions at the Canadian Open Regional Qualifier, we're back at it, this time at the Spring Open, held at the Beaconsfield Golf Club. My ball striking was sharp and the short game felt dialed, but no round of golf is ever smooth from start to finish. There were challenges, moments where momentum slipped, and I had to dig deep to stay in it. Stick around to see how I battled through the adversity and tried to make a late charge up the leaderboard.
Get in.
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to get right into this week's tournament recap vlog. We are at the Beaconsfield Golf Club just outside of Montreal, Quebec for the Spring Open. It is an 18-hole stroke play event organized by Golf Québec that is open to both professionals and amateurs. They run a series of qualifiers, but luckily I received an exemption into the field based on past performance. The golf course is a lot of fun to play. The front nine can be quite challenging, but the back nine presents more birdie opportunities and really gives you a chance to go low. Now, after playing through some fairly awful weather in the Canadian Open Regional Qualifier last week, the weather is actually quite favorable today. The greens are quick and it is definitely a bit windy, but nothing we can't handle. Today, I'll be walking you through my entire round, shot by shot, sharing my thought process and strategy along the way. Let's get right into it.
Prochain au départ, next on tee, to the Golf Windmill Heights, James Colin Davis.
So just to clarify, I do now represent Golf Griffin des Sources and no longer Windmill Heights. Golf Quebec just did not update that in my profile before the day started. But anyways, here we go. We are on the first hole. It's a par 4, 377 yards. Goes quite far downhill off the tee, very straight away. I'm hitting hybrid because you'll see there's a tree down the left-hand side there. If you hit more than this club and you go a little bit left, then you can easily be blocked out by that there. This is, still being a little bit aggressive. I'm going to give myself a wedge in, but playing just a little bit safer. I hit it to the left side of the fairway, was not blocked by the tree. Had 99 yards left into this front right flag. That is a little flighted down sand wedge right there. Really nicely hit. Left it just right and just below the hole. So I've left myself a pretty easy look at birdie here on this first hole. So I've got about 8 feet up the hill here for my birdie, breaking ever so slightly from right to left. Now I had played a practice round a couple days earlier and found that the green on the first hole was just a little bit slower than the others. So I wanted to make sure that I gave this just a little bit of extra to make sure that it got to the hole. That's a great start. Pretty textbook birdie right there. 1 under par through 1. Let's go. The second hole is a short par 4 at 320 yards. Now, it does go uphill, so it plays longer. My original plan was to hit driver on this hole. It's what I would normally do, but seeing as they weren't letting us hit drivers on the driving range, I hadn't seen my ball flight yet, and I just kind of wanted to play a little bit safer here, so I elected to lay back with 4-iron. Really good swing there, nice strike. Just going to give myself a wedge in here, and you'll see that this is absolutely right in the middle of the fairway. So today we have Sam on the bag and Matt on the camera. This duo was with me for one of the East Coast Pro Tour events last year. We're just trying to have fun today. 126 yards left going up the hill here. This pin was kind of back right. That's a gap wedge that I felt like I hit quite well. You can see it bounce a little bit to the left. Unfortunately, it would spin back down the hill a little bit, so I do have a putt, but it's not going to be a very makeable one. Definitely an outside chance here, but we at least have a putt. We have not put ourselves in any kind of trouble here. So this long birdie effort here going well uphill. We are expecting this to go left as it kind of climbs up the hill and then just duck back to the right once it gets onto that top shelf there. Really all I'm concerned about here is pace. I'm not really splitting hairs with line. I just want to make sure that I get this up around the hole, and if the hole happens to catch it, fine, that's a bonus. But good for pace there. Got that just about pin high, so we only have, inside of 2 feet here to clean up for our par. 1 under par through 2 holes. Pretty good start. Game's feeling pretty solid, and I'm feeling good mentally. The third hole is a 440-yard par 4. Straight away, you've got hazard down the left side all the way and bunkers guarding the right side of the fairway. So, gonna hit driver here because it's a significantly longer hole. And really important to hit the fairway here. It's going to allow you to attack the hole, really sets you up. Good feeling swing right there, good contact. Ball's been coming out with a little bit of a low spin rate recently, so it's not getting all the carry that I would like, but as long as I'm hitting it straight, I'm not going to complain. 136 yards left in here. This is a little bit downwind. This is a soft pitching wedge. Again, hit very, very well. All over the flag stick. Felt great about this when it was in the air. Just went a little far, so we haven't played in much warmth recently, and it does seem like the ball is traveling well, which is a welcome sight. That leaves us this longer than we wanted birdie putt, going back down the hill, but it is still a birdie putt. Greens in regulation are never really a bad thing, so this is going to be quick going back down the hill. I'm expecting it to turn a little bit to the right. Definitely turned a little bit more than I expected and was a little bit quicker than I expected as well. That one, though the proximity isn't terrible, I've definitely left myself more work there than I would have liked. So we've got about 3.5 feet here going back up the hill. This should turn just slightly to the right. Good stroke, good roll. We're in for par, keeps us at 1 under par after 3 holes. The fourth hole is a fairly challenging par 3. Tipped out, it's 230 yards. They'd actually moved us up a box. It's only playing 190 yards today, but it is going back into the wind. I decided to hit a 5-iron here, and I'm just trying to flight it down a little bit, keep it a little bit under the wind. It's not quite a full 5, but I just kind of smother this one a little bit in an effort to keep it low, just shut down the club face. It was pretty good for distance, but clearly well left of my intended target. That's the first kind of poor swing of the day. They happen. I can see my body language hasn't been affected. I'm trying to stay level. Mishits happen in golf, and that was clearly one of them. We haven't left ourselves in too bad of a spot because I do have green to work with, but unfortunately the lie where the ball is not great. There's a lot of grass right behind the ball. So this is my lob wedge because I want loft, and I just didn't quite commit to taking enough speed through that. I was a little worried that it would just jump out really hot, and it ended up coming out pretty dead. So that's not ideal, but it is on the green. We have got a putt for par now. About 20 feet here, going back across the green, a little bit downhill, turning from left to right. Would love to give this a good chance to go in. We haven't really hit a good shot on this hole at this point, so making par would be stealing at least 1. Good roll, good read. Just not quite enough pace on it. I expected that to be just a little bit faster. That's a bogey once we tap this in. That's alright. It's a tough hole. Par 3s can be tough to score on. I'm not too upset about that, though obviously I would have preferred to have made par or better. Even par on the day after 4 holes. The fifth hole is a par 5, a long par 5, coming in at 602 yards. This dog legs slightly to the left around the bunker that you see down the left-hand side there. I'm hitting driver, obviously. Why wouldn't you on this hole? Again, looking for a good swing here. Want to hit the fairway. Put a good move on that one. That's going to be right down Main Street again. Overall, game and swing feeling very good at the moment. So we're not going to go for this. We have 296 yards left. I decided to lay up with a 6-iron, just trying to give myself a good number in, trying to leave this about 100 yards out. Another good swing, good contact, right where I was aiming it. That's going to leave us a nice wedge shot in, and we can start to attack this hole. So 98 yards in, pin a little bit on the left. This is a small sand wedge, basically trying to hit the same shot I hit on the first hole. And this was all over it. Again, just a little long. So that's a couple of wedge shots now that directionally very strong, but just going a little bit further than I'm expecting. So it's not a problem. We're still hitting greens. Just the proximity is not really putting us in the spot where we're going to make a lot of these putts. So another downhill birdie putt here. This one's going to be pretty quick. And this should be a bit of a double breaker. It should go from right to left early, and I'm expecting this to go left to right at the end, break back towards the hole. Really good for pace. It was on my line. Just never really tried to come back to the right. So, bit of a misread, but really good for pace. From that distance, that is a fairly solid effort. We tap that in for par, and that keeps us at even par through 5 holes today. The 6th hole is a 445-yard par 4. Now we have turned back towards the clubhouse. The next few holes are going to be playing more into the wind. This one doglegs a little bit to the right. You can see the bunker down the right-hand side there. I'm trying to take this drive left of that. You can see a big mound of dirt. They're doing some work on the course. I'm trying to go right of that. Unfortunately, just kind of push this one out to the right, though it was still fairly well hit. It does cover the bunker. I definitely challenged that much more than I wanted to, but we are fine. We are in play. In fact, we're in the fairway, so there's really no issue there. So they've got a bit of a challenging shot here. Got 163 yards left in. Back into the wind. Pins on the right side of the green. We don't want to be too aggressive with this shot. There's a deep bunker just right of this pin placement. So I'm hitting a small flighted 7-iron into the wind, trying to take it a little bit left of the flag. Now, I'll be honest, this was slightly pulled off of where I was aimed, but all in all, under the circumstances, that's a fairly good golf shot right there. Not super aggressive, definitely playing that one a little safe. Choosing our moments. That was not the time to fire straight at the flag. So this leaves us about 25 feet here, going up the hill. Now, this green, though it slopes from back to front, there's some local knowledge that actually will break more towards the back of the green. So I thought we'd accounted for that with our read here. Hit a good putt. Expected this to stay pretty straight at the top, and it did just break towards the back of the green. Another good effort. Just a bit of a misread again. But again, from that distance, those don't fall too often. So you're just looking to give it a chance and making sure that you can get down in 2 putts easily. So I've left myself just outside of 2 feet here for the par. Another good roll. Another good par. Even par through 6 holes. So as mentioned in the intro, this front 9 can play quite difficult. The fact that we're at even par right now is not bad, though I feel like I'm playing well enough to be a little bit under. We just have to keep this going and not make any silly mistakes. The 7th hole is a 428-yard par 4. This one doglegs to the left around the trees you see on the corner there. Goes a little bit downhill in the fairway and back up to the green. Again, back into the wind. Decent drive here. I mean, the result's good. It wasn't a great strike. Definitely came out with not a ton of ball speed and definitely not much spin, so I lost some distance on it, but if I can miss it to the middle of the fairway, I feel pretty good about my game. I just want to make sure I'm keeping the ball in play right now. So this leaves us 140 yards into a front flag. I'm on a bit of a downslope. The ball's a little below my feet. This is a little 9-iron. Not a full one, just kind of punching it up there on a great line. just a little past it. Was hoping that it would use that backstop a little bit. It did not, but that's fine. It's a good quality iron shot right there. The proximity is still very good. We have got a very good look at birdie here. See Sam and I trying to figure out this read, and again I'm telling him about this local knowledge here where this putt looks like it's way downhill, but it's going to play more like it's uphill, so I'm definitely going to have to be a little bit more aggressive with the pace here than it looks like you would have to be. Now this putt is turning from right to left. I just had one of my playing partners putt on a very similar line and saw his snap at the hole, so I'm going to give mine a little bit extra here, started a little bit further out right.
Bro. Yes.
Great putt there. Did an excellent job of matching up the pace and the line. We are back to 1 under par on the day after 7 holes. The 8th hole is a short par 3, playing 158 yards today. It does play a little bit downhill as well. Though it's short, this one is quite tricky. You can see massive bunker out to the right. This entire green slopes pretty heavily from right to left, so if you put it in that bunker, you're going to have a hard time getting anything close. I'm hitting 9-iron here. I'm trying to start it just right of the flag and draw it back in towards it a little bit. Good strike. Started it on my line and unfortunately just never really drew back. So you're going to see that this is going to land right. You can see that the slope of the green is bringing that back to the left. If that had landed about a yard further left, it would have caught a slope and actually ended up going closer to the hole. Unfortunately, we are up top of that slope, which means that I'm going to have to be very careful with this putt. This is not one that I can be aggressive with whatsoever. This is going to break a ton from right to left, and it's going to be very fast. So I'm just trying to cozy this down around the hole. As you can see, we did really good for pace, just didn't quite start it high enough. Again, not one that I wanted to get frisky with. That one could get away from you very quickly. It's a good par. Just doing our best here to not make any silly mistakes. Keeps us at 1 under par on the day going into the par 4 9th hole. Notice the dark clouds behind us right now. Those things came out of nowhere. So 9, short par 4, 323 yards. Doglegs a little bit to the left. Goes uphill. There is a little pond short left of the green. I'm hitting 4-iron here to keep it short of the water, give myself a wedge going back up the hill. And this was not a great strike. I mean, it's not a bad shot. Just kind of left the face a little bit open, came off a little bit weak. It's going to find the right side of the fairway, but it's definitely going to leave me further back than I would have liked. Now, before we were able to hit our second shots into the par 4 9th, they blew the horn for a weather delay because there was thunder and lightning in the area. Just a few storms kind of blowing through the general area of the Beaconsfield Golf Course. After an hour, they got us back onto the course. You can see I'm just like trying to get warm here, trying to get my back going again. And it felt like we were standing there for a very long time. It just seemed to take forever for people to get back to the holes before the officials could get play going again. To give you an idea, this footage is sped up 1,500 times. And it just felt like an eternity. I mean, we had such good momentum going. And now my back has definitely started to get a little bit tight here.
Oh.
Alright, brother.
Okay.
Let's have fun walking.
Play well, boys.
So, game on. We are in the fairway on the 9th hole. While we're setting up to hit this second shot in, it actually starts raining, which I found pretty comical at the time. We have 129 yards here going uphill. Pin is kind of middle in terms of depth, but right side of the green. I'm hitting a pitching wedge here. It's definitely want to give this a little bit more than I normally would because we didn't have a chance to warm up again after the end of the delay. Decent strike, but as soon as I hit this, I knew it wasn't going far enough. Just not moving very well since the rain delay. That ends up in the front right bunker. So I've got some green to work with here. It's not a terrible spot. I'm feeling pretty good about this shot. Just got to throw it out a little bit right of the flag. And oh my, that was a lot of sand. Just a little bit, I know they've been doing a lot of work on the course, a lot of renovations. They've done work on the bunkers. They've added a lot of sand, and I just did not play that very well. So this putt here from the fringe to save par on the 9th hole and make the turn at 1 under, which would be a very respectable score on this front 9. Really want to get this one to drop. We've worked pretty hard.
Go.
Good effort. Again, just left it a little bit short. Pretty slow putt back up the hill there, and I just wasn't able to judge it properly. Tap in for bogey. We are even par after 9, and I'm not going to lie, that one hurt a little bit. The 10th hole is a dogleg left par 5, coming in at about 515 yards. We were going back into the wind a little bit, but it was mostly from left to right and pretty heavy at this point. I'm trying to take this down the left side of the fairway here. Good swing, good contact, and then this one just actually faded on me a little bit, which, you know, has kind of been my ball flight recently, but it's the first time it showed up today. That finishes literally inches into the right rough, and that's going to be pretty penal here, because anything in the fairway, I can go for this in 2. With that lie, that's just not happening. Sam and I are looking at that lie and trying to figure out how much club we can get onto it. Sam being like, man, it's like 6 inches. So we decide pitching wedge is the most that we can get onto this. We are just going to try and lay this up down the right side of the fairway, which we do. Came out really weird, but well set up there to hit another wedge into this green, attacking the par 5 that way and trying to make birdie the quote-unquote hard way. So 102 yards left here to this back left flag, back into the wind. This is still my sand wedge. Another really good strike. Another one that's on a great line. Just feel like directionally the wedges have been fantastic today. That one is a little bit shorter than I wanted it, but we are in the right section of the green. We are going to have an uphill look at birdie, and we really want to get the bogey we made on the last hole back here. So this putt here going up the hill, I read this as a bit of a double breaker. This would get us back to 1 under par on the day. Uphill, going right early and left at the end. And that was a complete misread. And I also kind of hammer hands that one. Not great feel. Went well past the hole. That was a little bit frustrating because I felt like my pace control had been quite good so far today. We've got this one here to clean up for our par. This should break a little bit to the right. And I just start that well outside the hole, which was not my intention. And I don't feel like I pulled it. I think I was just completely misaligned. So we've been shaky here coming out of this rain delay. This really threw us here. Just completely killed our momentum. The focus just didn't quite seem to be there. That is a very unfortunate 3-putt bogey when we are in a pretty good situation, a pretty good look at birdie. You're thinking the worst you're going to make is par. And after playing so well before the rain delay, all of a sudden we are 1 over par after 10 holes. So we're definitely a little rattled at this point, and we just need a good swing or a good bounce or a putt to drop or something to change the momentum and get us back into this thing. We still have 8 holes to play. There's a lot of golf left ahead of us here. So the 11th hole is a 355-yard par 4. It doglegs to the right and then goes straight uphill to the green. I'm hitting 4-iron here, just trying to put it out in the right side of the fairway and give myself a wedge up the hill. Decent strike, but very similar to the one I hit on 4. Came up very high to the right, a little weak. I wasn't even convinced I'd made it past the trees protecting the corner, so I was a little nervous as we walked up to find this ball. Luckily, I had got past the trees. It hadn't made it back into the fairway, but we had a decent lie. All things considered, not a terrible spot. Leaves us 120 yards back up the hill here, and you can see how significantly back uphill that is going back towards the clubhouse. Wind is off the right, so we have elected to go with pitching wedge here. I felt it was too much to ask of the gap wedge because this does play about 10 or 12 yards uphill. Push this one out to the right again a little bit, but hey, we got a good bounce that kicks left back onto the green. We will absolutely take that. That leaves us this 18-foot birdie putt here, going back down the hill and turning from left to right. Now, I definitely want to be careful with the pace on this one after what I did with my first putt on 10. So this is going to be a lot of feel here. Really good roll on a great line.
Go. Yes.
That is a phenomenal bounce back birdie after the back-to-back bogeys. That gets us right back to even par. You can see the relief there. Now I feel like we can attack the rest of this golf course and get back into this tournament. The 12th hole is a short par 5, 480 yards, lays a little bit downhill. Now you can't see it, but past those trees on the right there is a large body of water. So that's the one thing you have to avoid. This hole is playing back into the wind today, but regardless, a 5 on this hole feels like a missed opportunity. So, well hit drive. Strong ball flight, just turned it over a little bit from right to left. I did not want to go down that right side. I do clear the bunker. I'm going to be in the left rough, but we're going to have a pretty good angle in from there. So all things considered, that is where I wanted to miss it. We have 170 yards left back into the wind, so I am hitting a 7-iron. Pretty decent strike, just pulled it a little bit. I wanted to start this a little bit right of the hole, and it's just going to kind of kick a little bit left and stay in the rough. So it's not by any means a terrible golf shot or a bad leave, but I would have much preferred to have had an eagle putt. I guess that's kind of stating the obvious. But we are now in this situation. I do have a good lie, and you might notice when I set up for this, I'm standing on a sprinkler head, but the lie was so good I elected to not take a drop. I really felt good about this one. Thinking about holding it, want to give this a chance to go in. Great contact. It just kind of jumped on me a little bit, so I feel like the read was good. You can see how much that turned once it slowed down. It just went past the hole with too much pace. And I've unfortunately left myself a pretty tricky little 8 or 9 foot putt here coming back for birdie. Now at this point in the round, after what's gone down the last few holes, I feel like this is a must make. We lost some ground. We have got to take advantage of these opportunities to get back in this. Great birdie putt right there. Absolutely needed that one. As mentioned on the tee, a 5 would have felt like a drop shot. The 13th hole is a fantastic par 3, coming in at 218 yards today. Pin is in the back center. You can see right of this green is the no-go zone. You do not want to go there, so I'm playing this slightly left of the flag here, hitting 5-iron. Really good strike. Expecting this to cut back to the right a little bit. Unfortunately, it did not. It lands on the fringe and just catches the rough. That had been about a yard further right. It would have caught the slope and worked its way back down towards the flag a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of work here if we want to get up and down and save our par. You can see, still trying to stretch my back out here. You can see Sam and I trying to figure this out here. There's a lot of slope that we have to contend with. This is going to be downhill once it hits the green and braking quite heavily from left to right. So I elected to use my lob wedge here, essentially just trying to bump it onto the green and let gravity do the work for us. All in all, that's a pretty good shot. I've left myself about 3.5 feet here for par on this tough par 3. And again, like on the previous hole, at this point, you really feel like you can't afford to drop any shots or miss any of these short, makeable putts. We convert the par putt. That keeps us at 1 under par, through 13 holes. Now the 14th hole is a fairly tough par 4 here, 440 yards, quite narrow. Now you can see the trees, the group of trees down the left, that is reachable with driver. There is no room to bail out right, so I elect to hit 3-wood on this hole because it's not going to reach the trees on the left if ever I do go left. Now, I do end up hitting this right down the middle. It is definitely a bit of a safer play here, but to me it is just the smart play. If you hit driver off that tee, it has to be perfect. There is no room to miss whatsoever. So we have 176 yards left into this par 4. Wind off the left, ball a little below my feet. We elect to hit 8-iron. And good swing, but I did catch this just a couple of blades of grass heavy. That's another good bounce. We'll take that. It's definitely going to finish a little short. Wouldn't have been too tough of an up and down from there, but the fact that we get putter in our hands here is definitely an advantage. So a bit of a tricky putt here, going uphill. Braking heavily from left to right as it goes over a little mound in the green here. And this is going to be a pace putt more than anything. And I just do not get the pace right. I think I just got a little bit overly scared of that one. Was worried about it getting away from me. Left it a good 3.5 feet short, so I've definitely got some work cut out for me here if I want to make par here and stay at 1 under. That was a very solid conversion there. Playing the last 2 holes at even par means we are definitely picking up strokes on the field. The 15th hole is a beautiful par 3, as you can see that kind of rock face wall there framing the back of the green. Got 160 yards here today, a little bit into the wind. I'm hitting an 8-iron, just trying to flight it down a little bit of a knockdown shot. Great strike. Never left the flagstick.
Get in.
And I'll tell you, from the tee box, that looked like it was sitting right on the edge of the hole. So we are 1 under par. We have 4 holes left. I know that somebody has already finished at 5 under par for the day. So this to me is must make. We've got to make a string of birdies coming in here if we want a challenge to win the event. And even if we don't win it, at least we will be climbing up the leaderboard. So this one ended up being about 8 feet below the hole. A little bit of break from right to left.
Oh my God.
Just a slight overread. Really expected that to turn a little bit more towards the center of the green. It was unfortunate. I hit a good putt. Just didn't quite get the read right. It's not a bad par, but under the circumstances, we really needed the birdie. The 16th hole is a downhill par 4, 408 yards. You can see there's water down the left. Now, I normally would hit 3-wood on this hole, but with this hole being a little bit more into the wind today, I elected to hit driver. Just want to get it down there, give myself a wedge in. Another good drive. Again, not the best ball flight, a little bit low spin, a little bit more draw than I like to see, but we do kind of stay in the left side of the fairway there. So this leaves us 103 yards here to this back left flag. This is another sand wedge that I'm trying to hit about 108 yards going back into the wind. Felt good when it was in the air, and then just came well short of the intended landing spot. So not an awful shot, but far from great. We need birdies, and we do have a look, though this is definitely an outside chance. Going kind of up a tier, breaking from right to left. But we're going to try and give this one a run here. And we've got this, a par 3, and a scoreable par 5 to finish. So we can still make a bit of a late move here, kind of charge up this leaderboard.
Go, go.
Good effort. It's just a little bit slower going up that hill than I expected.
Whoa.
That's going to be another par. We are 1 under par through 16 holes. So the par 3 17th, you can see well protected by bunkers. This one playing 161 yards, a little bit into wind. So this is essentially the same shot that we just hit on the 15th hole. So I'm hitting the same shot that I hit on 15. A little knockdown 8-iron. Another really good swing. Great strike. All over the flagstick again. And now we came up a little bit short on 15, and this one we went a little bit past the pin. Still a very good golf shot, but that's going to leave us a pretty tricky and fast downhill birdie putt. So this look at birdie, downhill, breaking quite severely from left to right. This is far from being an easy putt, but I feel like I've got a pretty good read on the movement. I just have to kind of feel the pace of the putt going down this hill. Just the slightest of overreads. Really expected that that was going to continue turning back into the hole. Just kind of straightened out for a second, about a foot short, and that was the difference between it dropping and staying out on the high side. Another good par. Had a lot of easy pars here. So the 18th hole is a par 5, just under 500 yards. Straight away you can see going back up towards the clubhouse at Beaconsfield Golf Club. Beautiful hole, great finishing hole. You got the balcony that kind of overlooks the green, so it's great for tournaments and club championships and all that. So looking for a good drive here, set us up to attack the par 5. We get that. You know, not my best drive ever. It's not going to be the longest drive I've ever hit, but we are in the fairway and we are far enough out there that we can reach the green in 2. So we had 206 yards into a back right flag that is very well protected by the bunker you see on the right side of the green. And Sam and I discussed for a while, was it 6 or was it 5? And I decided to go soft 5 because I figured the 6 had to be perfect. Hit that great. Started it just left of the flag, which was our plan.
Good shot.
Very solid golf shot right there. That puts us in the back right part of the green. We are going to have a makeable look at birdie. Again, Sam and I breaking this one down. This is going to be another downhill putt. And actually, last time I had Sam on the bag and Matt on the camera. We had this putt for an eagle on the 18th hole.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes.
Let's see if history will repeat itself.
Get in. Get in. Yes.
I don't know what it is about this combination of caddy and cameraman, but that's 2 for 2 making eagle on the 18th hole when we've got this team out on the course. So great finish, nice eagle there on the 18th hole. That puts us at 3 under par for the day, and really a very solid round of golf. You know, we had the 2 hiccups coming out of the rain delay. Apart from that, I think it's actually the best ball striking round I've had so far this year. I feel like the short game was strong. I feel like I putted well. I really feel like things are trending in the right direction. Alright guys, thanks a lot for sticking around and watching the full video. I'm pretty proud of this round today. We did a lot of things really well. As just mentioned, got to be the best ball striking round I've had this year in a tournament. I feel overall like I putted well. The short game was pretty good. It's obviously pretty unfortunate that the rain delay killed our momentum, but you know, this is a part of the game. Rain delays are going to happen, and in the future I've got to do a better job of finding a way to kind of just like flip the switch back on from the moment the horn goes, because you know, it took me a couple of holes to get going and it really cost us. That being said, we did do a good job of kind of staying in the game and continuing to push on after bogeying the 9th and 10th holes. that eagle on the 18th actually vaulted us up to a tie for 3rd place amongst the professionals playing. So it's a pretty solid day, pretty solid finish. It's nice to know that even though we had a couple of bad holes coming out of the rain delay and, you know, a couple of blunders here and there, that, you know, we're still putting ourselves in contention. That's why we play. In other good news, I mean, my body overall has been feeling much better than it has been the last few weeks, which is great news as we continue to prepare for next week's final qualifying for the RBC Canadian Open. That will be live on the channel next week, so make sure you stick around for that. That promises to be a good one. I mean, after seeing how I played today, I really feel like the game is trending in the right direction. I think the timing is good for us. Anyways, that's going to be a wrap for this video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, leave me a comment down below. Any and all interactions are greatly appreciated. The channel is growing at a very good rate right now. I want us to continue this momentum. Let's get the channel up to 5,000 subs. That would be a huge milestone for the channel. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be back again next week with another video. Cheers, guys.